Now that we've gone through some subnetting problems, some subnet planning, subnetting problems, the kinds of questions that certification exams love to give you, especially a CompTIA Network Plus kind of exam, is given a certain number of network requirements, give us some information about how many subnets or host IP address ranges, host IPs that can be created. That's one type of question. The other one is given an IP address and like subnet mask, determine if it's a network number, broadcast, or host address. So they like to ask these questions because they're testing, do you know all the stuff I showed you first on the fundamentals, planning, etc. They're looking, do you know all of those things to be able to answer these? So let's look at a couple samples so you know how to kind of like dissect them, to take them apart, to know how to answer them, and hopefully with some practice answer them quickly, because your certification exams are timed. So the quicker you can tear them apart to answer them, the quicker you can keep moving on your exam. Subnetting labs are going to help you prepare. There's a subnetting practice quiz I have on D2L that you can take as many times as you want. It counts as bonus points. And I also have a review quiz that is for homework. Points. There is other resources out there that you can use for practicing subnetting as well. D2L has a number of resources out there to help you with that. Okay, so let's take a look. First thing I always do whenever I'm answering a subnet question is I write my binary place values down. And I usually on a certification exam, you're given either a scrap paper and pencil or like a whiteboard and marker. I was given a whiteboard and marker. So I wrote this down first before I tackled anything they gave you. So they're giving you here an IP followed by a subnet mask insider notation. Again, that's why we learned that. With this, how many subnets can be created or how many subnets were created? They can phrase that various ways. Well, if I look at it here, first thing we're going to do is look at that and go, it's a class C. It should be /24. That's my default. I need to remember my defaults. With a /29, 5 bits were borrowed. So 5 bits borrowed, bam, 32 subnets were created. That's how you would dissect that very quickly. Next slide shows you exactly what I just did. 200 tells me class C. So I'm thinking this is my default. This right here is my default. With 29, there's a difference of 5, so 5 bits were borrowed. With 5 bits borrowed, 2 to the 5 gives me 32 subnets were created for subnetting. So I need to lean back on all the defaults that I know and look for what's changed. Next type of question they ask you or like to ask you is the same kind of thing right here, /28. How many usable host IP addresses per subnet can be created? So again, I'm looking 200 class C. 24 is the default, /24 is the default. 28 means 4 bits were borrowed. Well, in a class C, if 4 bits were borrowed, there's 4 bits left. If 4 bits were borrowed in a class C, there's 4 bits left. So 4 bits left tells me 2 to the 4 means there's 16 addresses per subnet. Subtract 2, that means there's 14 usable. Again, next slide. I'll talk you through everything I just said. So 200 class C, 28. The default is 24. There's my default. 28 means we borrowed 4, and there's 4 left. So borrowed 4 means I can do 16 subnets. 4 left in the host portion. 2 to the 4 lets me know 16 hosts per subnet are created, of which 14 are usable. Remember, we have to subtract 2 for network and broadcast. So there's my 14 usable. That's the next type of question I like to ask you. The next type of question I like to ask you is, given this, let me know, what is this? Is it a subnet, usable, or broadcast? Because again, that's important in a network. Can I use this thing? Can I do anything with it? Okay. Well, with 200, we're dealing with class C. /27 means 3 bits were borrowed, because 24 is the default. 3 bits borrowed. With 3 bits borrowed, there's 5 bits in the host. Now, with this one, we need to write something out. It's going to be helpful to write it out real quick. So let me show you the next slide. What we'll do with the 27, here's my subnet bit, here's my host bits. I want to write out this last octet because that's where the subnetting occurred. So I'm going to take 127 and write it out in binary. This is the number 127 in binary. With 127 in binary, I'm looking at the host portion now. With the host portion of all ones, this is the broadcast address. With the host portion of all ones, this is broadcast address. I have to remember that rule from way back. All ones in the host portion is broadcast address. So right there I could say this is not a usable IP, click answer C or whatever it is. This is a broadcast address. Here's another one. 200, another class C / 28 means 4 bits borrowed. Again, I'm going to look at this octet to know what's going on. What's going on with a 160. I'm going to take 160, write it out. 160 in binary. This is 160 in binary. I find out 160 in binary, the host portion is all zeros. Host portion of all zeros means it is a network number, network address. Okay, we've borrowed 4 for subnet. That means the remaining 4 are host. So that right there is the piece we're focusing on, and that host portion is all zeros. So we know it's a network number. It's not usable. Here's one more, /29. So here we have 5 bits borrowed. There's 3 bits for host. 5 bits borrowed, 3 bits for host. Again, I'm going to write out this 86. 86 written out in binary. Here's 86 in binary. What I find out is the host bits are 110. They're not all ones, they're not all zeros. It's a mixture, so this has to be a usable. This has to be a usable. So I'm going to use everything we've learned to this point to be able to dissect or tackle these quickly. And that's why we've been showing you all these pieces all along. That way you can start applying them to scenarios like this. This is what certification exams like to give you.